worse. And you're saying, yeah, you've never seen that before. So I think things have gotten all the worse with even this particular memorandum of understanding, particularly if we see on Article 6 of the memorandum of understanding, and this is where I want you to chime in as well.
Can I tell you, let me just tell you why I say things could have been worse. There's a country I observed which moved almost in exactly the same way. In Sudan, actually it is actually, there it was the professionals, the civilians who actually started and said, we must change things. The army came and joined them and now said they're also against the regime of Bashir. And they said, okay, let's make an agreement, let's then run together. What has eventually happened?
Thank you.
The army just threw them out. And what is Sudan in like now? So why I'm saying probably it could be worse, but what we have now is you can't say these deaths are good.
So compared to the demonstration that we had with ODM in 2024 or even 2023, 2023, and right now things have gotten all the worse, so to speak.
Let me first of all want to clarify to Mheshimiwa Kaluma here that Uhuru Kenyatta, I had the name Uhuru Kenyatta mentioned. Tony Gachoka has never voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. Since 1997, I voted for ODM. I voted for Honorable, my brother, Raila Amolo Odinga. After the foundation of ODM, the late Charles Jonjo and Tony Gachoka were the only people who stood with BAMBA. I find it very sad that every time there is a discussion that has to do with the national ethos, about the Bill of Rights, people want to talk about ethnicity. As far as I'm concerned, I will stand and die on my sword as a Kenyan who has always stood for this nation. I want to say without any fear of contradiction that, and I want to be very clear on this studio and this television, that my message is not to my right, it's to Baba. I'm telling Baba, who is my friend, this is not right. I'm telling Baba, who is my brother, that this must stop. Because he himself understands that we fought for this constitution. I never saw William Ruto at Bomas of Kenya. I never saw him on no reform, no election, but Baba was there. The late Jaramogi Oginga was there. ODM is born of the blood of the movement of this nation. The Orange Democratic Movement came from the struggle towards a new constitutional order. Among and most critical in that constitutional order was the Bill of Rights. I remember Yashpa Guy walking in with James Orengo and Raila Odinga at Bomas of Kenya together with me and Apollo Jonjo, where we insisted that the Bill of Rights must be ingrained in the constitution of the country. The Bill of Rights is an integral part of Kenya's democratic state and is a framework for socio-economic and cultural policies. I want to also say this, and I want to say this to the young people. The young people and those people who stood out in order to protest against this government did not do so because they had nothing else to do. What happened was it started incrementally. Why? Because after elections, and a disputed electoral process, the government of Kenya Kwanza was sworn in as a minority government, simply because they didn't have the numbers in parliament. In order to defeat Azimio la Umoja, who had won the majority of MPs and senators, they started buying people from the opposition in order that they could tilt the scales against the will of the people exercised in a democratic election. Since that time, William Ruto has gathered pieces of silver and an appetite to buy everybody in the opposition that he can in order to defeat the electoral processes that were elected to have, one, a government and an opposition. And the reason this constitution creates a multi-party democracy is because the opposition is meant to oppose the government of the day in order that people get a better government. My problem with the ODM decision of broad-based government is not about the policies or the economics. It's because there is no policeman, there is no watchdog in Parliament or in the Senate that can be able to hold to account the government for the people. And that is a constitutional nightmare, because once the people have done an election after 5 years, they have nothing else other than a recall of MPs or waiting for the next general election. So I want to say to the young people of this nation who are protesting against the broad-based government that you are right under the law, you are right under the Bill of Rights. But as William Shakespeare says, you know, a coward just dies once. So if death must be the price, it's not going to be the first time. Tom Mboya, yes. Degama Pinto, Awins Kode, there have been so many gallant sons of this nation, Robert Ouko, and many who have shed blood in order that this country becomes accountable to the rule of law and better governance, the killing of corruption and so forth. So let there be a Rex Masai. So yes, let there be another person from another place. But let this not descend that all of a sudden there is one part of Mount Kenya against the nation because young people are rising up. Let us say, first of all, that any killing of any young person, any abduction of any young person is immoral, it is wrong, it is unlawful, it's unconstitutional. If we begin to agree that there are certain basic rights and wrongs, that there are certain things which we must uphold, the dignity of how we live with each other, that dignity is what is going to allow us to be able to aspire to take this country further. So I want to end by saying, you know, Frank Fanon said this about generations, that every generation must fulfill its promise. And I'm happy to hear senior lawyer Wamugeni and Kaluma went to Nairobi University. I was in Europe and went or so on. But we have had our time. Made mistakes or not, we had our time to fulfill our aspirations and live our dreams. We cannot be the people who sit on our children's future. We cannot be the people that kill their hopes. Right or wrong, let them dream, but let them be at peace, and let them not fear their government, let them not fear their president, let them not fear that, you know, in fact, I remember when the ICC came, 4 people were charged, a sitting president, Uhuru Kenyatta, a police commissioner, Muhammad Ali, a head of civil service, Mudaura, and William Ruto were taken to the ICC by a letter written by the Orange Democratic Party, in part my brother Anyang' Nyong'o, raising the questions about the killings that happened in Naivasha and parts of the Rift Valley following the disputed 2007. So ODM has a history of raising in the international order the question of human rights. In fact, it was because of the letter of ODM that the ICC proceedings went ahead without objection from Mwai Kibaki. And in fact, a sitting president had to resign from office or retire from office for the period of the trial in order to be held to account. So I'm telling this president, I'm telling this commissioner of police, I'm telling this head of the civil service, kuna njia uko Hague, and you are not going to go that way. And I'm telling Kaluma, whether he wishes it or he does not, there will be an end to the regime of William Ruto. But the question will not end because of me and you, but the law will never die. This constitution and the rights of those who died will never die. I pray that shooting our children is no solution to the ODM coalition with William Ruto.